Hey guys, it's Andrew from Pex Metal Picks. Today I'm going to be doing a review of Emmure's new album, Look at Yourself. I'll put out another video where I explain why I'm doing this and what the inspiration behind all this comes from. But yeah, basically I just want to jump into the review first off. So, Emmure just put out their 7th album, Look at Yourself, on March 3rd. In some ways, I think this is some of their best work yet, okay? Half of the songs are really similar to their old stuff, like Felony, Goodbye to the Gallows, The Respect Issue. And the other half of it is like brand new style from these guys. It's basically a hybrid of Emmure, Glass Cloud, and the Tony Danza Tap Dance Extravaganza. In case you missed it last year, Frankie basically kicked out all the members of his band, and they basically said that they hate him too. So I don't really know what exactly happened there, but he basically kicked them all out, so his vocals are the only original part of the band now. He basically replaced all of them with members from this band called Glass Cloud. Some of those Glass Cloud members were also in this band called the Tony Danza Tap Dance Extravaganza. Which, by the way, even though that's a mouthful, if you're not familiar with those bands, you seriously need to get on that, because those are two extremely influential bands. And honestly, your opinion on metal in general is kind of uninformed. Like, you need to listen to Danza 4, at least. Josh Travis, though, he is the guitarist, has the big 9-string. He's from Danza and Glass Cloud. You really can't overstate his importance in the genre and how influential he's been. Especially his new role in Emmure. I promise you, 95% of Emmure's new sound is due to Josh Travis being in the band. So, Frankie's pretty known for his controversial lyrics, of course. I mean, he tried titling a song Bring a Gun to School. He does the controversial lyrics. Everybody knows that. On this album, Flag of the Beast is probably the closest that he comes to addressing the issue of kicking all the band members out, which basically he says towards the end, hate me if it makes you feel better. Kind of directs that at people whose venues he's destroyed and fans who feel cheated. I'm not going to quote the whole thing, but that's basically as close as he comes to addressing that. But honestly, though, him kicking out the other members is probably the best thing to happen to the band, because their new material is so good. Josh Travis and the rest of the guys being involved in the band has brought a new level of variety and technicality. I mean, I remember back in the day people used to say, oh, Emmure, they're so simple, all their songs sound the same, it's just chugging, it's just zeros, it's open chords. I mean, there's still some of that, don't get me wrong, but the other parts of it, really, even if you're super opposed to them, I promise you can find something that you're going to enjoy. Their new stuff, it's really good. That's all I could say. If you want to find the songs that have that kind of variety, that basically exemplify this new sound that I'm talking about, I'd recommend looking up Torch first, Smoky, especially the end of it, the last minute, is really reminds me a lot of Danza's old stuff, and Russian Hotel Aftermath is another one. There's some other ones that have the new sound too, but those are some of the best examples. You can kind of tell that there's some Danza influences in there. Two of the songs, Major Key Alert is one of them. The first couple seconds of that remind me of an intro to a Tony Danza song. The thing that is so much better about this album is that it has so much more depth than their other stuff. It has more layers to it. There's more things going on. Some of the songs even border on like kind of having an ambience or like an atmospheric feel to it. Torch is the main example of that. My only complaint, though, is that the whole album is only about half an hour long. There's 13 songs. So 13 songs, all that only comes out to about half an hour. There's only 3 songs that are more than 3 minutes, and the rest of them are literally like 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, even in the 1 minute area on a couple of them. And those aren't even like intros or interludes or anything. They're just really short. I mean, it is kind of beneficial because the new stuff I mean, it lets them switch it up and it gives them more variety, right? It's like 13 unique songs, and they all are pretty different. It also compacts the intensity, right? Like, you have these songs, and sometimes there's some boring parts in them. That's not the case with this album at all. Basically, every second is action-packed, and it's because the songs are so short that all the intensity had to get compacted into a shorter time. So I'm kind of torn. I mean, of course, I wish that there was just more material and that the songs would be longer, but, you know, you can't have it all. I actually think that their next album that follows this one up will be even better because you have to remember, Frankie is the only new member. He's basically working as the vocalist with an entirely different band. And although this album is extremely good, not even just in terms of Emmure, I think it's one of Emmure's best albums, and I also think that by the end of this year, this will be one of my favorite ones. Like, just in terms of metalcore, or, like, let's not even talk about genres, just in terms of metal in general, I think that this album is 10 levels above where Emmure has ever been. Like, it's bordering getting up there just among being a straight-up really good album no matter what, not like with a qualifier of like, well, it's really good for Emmure, or it's really good for Attila. Like, not like that. Like, it is just legit a good album. Normally when I do reviews like this, and there's a lot of background, aka the singer kicking everybody else out, I don't focus as much on the songs, but I'm going to try and fix that and get into some of those. So I'm mostly just going to talk about Torch and Smokey right now. Those are the two that I've talked about more in this album, and those are the two that I think are the best examples of their new sound. So I'm just going to talk about those a little bit. Basically, Torch is one of my favorite songs from the album. Even compared to the other new style songs, it is still different than the rest of them. It sort of fills the role that MDMA did on Slave to the Game. And I don't mean that. I mean, like, it is kind of softer and maybe slower, but it gets you in the feels, right? Like, you can tell that this is just more of an emotional, deep sort of song, kind of like the way MDMA was. It kind of has like an atmospheric, heartfelt feel to it. It's tough to really put words on it, but when you listen to it, you're going to be like, wow, this is way different than most of the stuff Emmure ever does. It actually reminds me a little bit of Breakdown of Sanity, which is a really weird comparison, but if you've listened to Breakdown of Sanity, you know that when they do breakdowns, a lot of the time, they put in like piano notes or synth sounds or other weird but really cool background effects that just add to the breakdown and make them even cooler. Torch has a lot of that, and it really reminds me of Breakdown of Sanity's new album, which, I mean, was super good too. So overall, really great. Like I said, a second favorite is the song called Smokey. Music video for it is super intense. In some ways, I think that song reminds me the most of the Tony Danza Tap Dance Extravaganza, especially at the end with the distressed sounding guitar notes and Frankie's vocals lining up perfectly with all the instruments so that they hit at the same time. This is something that Emmure has done a lot. Basically, Frankie will sing when all of the instruments hit at the same time, so it just makes it sound more powerful. Basically, just fills in and gives his voice even more backing. It's a thing that they've done a lot, but it's also a thing that comes from the Danza Tap Dance Extravaganza. It's tough saying that whole, I'm like trying to think of a good way to abbreviate it as I say it. Just not working out for me, but the second half of Smokey reminds me so much of Danza material, especially Danza 4. I actually think that the second half, aka the second minute of Smokey, because it's only 2 minutes long, I actually think that that is some of the hardest hitting material that Emmure has ever made. In terms of breakdowns, in terms of intensity, speed, just all of it, man. It's so good. Basically, yeah, I would just say that that's actually one of their biggest things. Like, if they're going to have a wall of death, it should be to the very end of that song. So overall, this Emmure album, I'm really enjoying it. It just came out. This is basically Emmure 2.0. You know, with the new members from Glass Cloud / Tony Danza Tap Dance Extravaganza. They have so much potential right now. And Frankie's vocals are sounding incredible. I've talked to some people who've seen them recently. They say that the new songs sound amazing live, and that Frankie's killing it. The rest of the band is killing it. And I think that they're only going to get better from here. You know, this was their first album working together as an entire band. I think moving forward, they're going to develop even better. They're really going to find the sound that they're going for. And I'm like genuinely excited for Emmure right now and what the future holds for them. So check out the new album. I'm blanking on what it's called. Look at Yourself. Check out the new album, Look at Yourself. It's their 7th one, which is pretty crazy. Been a band for 10 years now, or at least their first release. Actually, no, Complete Guide to Needlework, I think, came out before that. Anyway, I don't need to get into the timeline of it, but they're on tour right now with After the Burial, Invent Animate, Fit for a King, and I think Fit for an Autopsy. I think that's all correct. Holy shit, is that one of the craziest lineups ever. So definitely go check that out if you get the chance. I'm going to be in class when they play in Baltimore, so I'm not going to be able to go, which fucking sucks, because I could have interviewed Fit for an Autopsy, and probably the other bands too. But anyway, so that sucks, but check it out, guys. I know this video is running long. I don't know how long, but if you enjoyed this, let me know, because this is sort of an experimental thing. I like the idea of doing this, and I think it'd be really cool, especially with the lack of interviews in this area for me. Like I said, I'll do a separate video where I just explain what this is, why I'm doing this, the inspiration behind it, my goals, basically. But yeah, no, let's just end it right here. Basically, check out the new Emmure album. It kicks ass.